So when I was 16, I actually learned the most important lesson of my life. What I didn't realize is that I learned it. And so it didn't do anything from me from the time that I was 16 to the time that I was 30. So hopefully you can take something from this. So when I was 16, I got into a car accident. I was rear-ended, sitting at a stoplight. There's a car in front of me. Car just, boom, right into the back of me, pushes me into the car in front of me. And at that time, I had no cell phone. I had a pager, which I got knocked loose of me and scattered throughout my car. And so I don't really remember how I got a hold of my parents, but they did the traditional, is everything okay? Are you fine? Here's what you got to do. And I remember the car getting towed, and it was severe enough damage to where the frame had to be straightened out, and overall, back quarter panel was gone, but it wasn't my fault because I got rear-ended. So I remember sitting at dinner, and I was talking to my parents, and I said, at least it wasn't my fault. And my mom looks at me and goes, "So how do you suppose that?" I remember thinking and saying, "Well, pretty simply, they ran into the back of me." She said, "Okay. So did you look in your rearview mirror when you came up to the stoplight to make sure that no one was coming up fast behind you?" I said, "No, I shouldn't have to do that." She goes, "I know, but I didn't ask you if you should have. I asked, did you?" "Well, no, I didn't." "Okay. So did you leave enough space between you and the car in front of you to where you could move forward and give someone coming behind you room to stop?" I said, "No, I shouldn't have to do that." She says, "Well, I didn't ask you if you should have. I asked, did you?" And I remember being furious and saying, excusing myself from the table and leaving. We pretty much left it at that. Really never spoke of it again, but I never got rear-ended for the rest of my life. I can tell you how many times someone's come up behind me too fast. I've had to move over into a different lane. I've had to move into the median. I've had to move forward, but I've never been rear-ended since that time happened. And it was a waste of a lesson on a 16-year-old, because in my early 30s, I realized something. What I was being taught was every situation that we're in is partially our responsibility because we're in that situation. This is not about my parents blaming me. They never once said that I was at fault. What they were trying to get me to realize was the choices that I made that could have been made differently to give me a different outcome. And when I learned that in my 30s, that was the most empowering thing that I ever learned. Thinking about situations of what could I have done differently. You can only change things where you are at fault. And I don't say ownership or responsibility, and I say fault because if something's not my fault, I can't control it. Like your actions. Your actions are not my fault. But maybe I can influence them. Maybe I can tell you a story to where you'll make a different choice. That's my fault. But if I never make this video and nobody ever watches it, that's also my fault. So when you can actually look at a situation and see your part in it, no matter how atrocious or how bad, or sometimes how good, because you got to take the good with the bad, it's amazing the control and the power that you can give yourself. So it's all my fault. It's something that I live by, I teach, and I coach, because when everything is your fault, you can change everything in your life. And that's true power.